Hello, my name is Desiree, and this is my channel in which I discuss various different topics on ways to heal oneself, to reflect on things, and to see if we can maybe make some changes if they're needed, right? And so tonight's topic is about modernity, I guess you could say. And I watched a video, and it's been a while, and I can't quite remember what the topic of the video was about, but the author said something that really struck me, and it's been on my mind for almost a month now. I really can't stop thinking about it. And what she said was that modern day living has caused us to separate from our community. And one of the examples she gave was that heating the house, central heating, has taken people away from the fireplace. And the fireplace is where people used to gather, right? It was a place to cook. It was a place that we would go for warmth. It was a place for celebration, for ceremony. And my family, my ancestry is Mesoamerican, and I've got some Spanish in me, of course. But the Mesoamerican side, I'm not sure about the Spanish. I'm sure, the people, uh, everyone always gathered around a fire before the invention of electricity. Now, I'm not saying that electricity is a bad thing. I'm not saying I want to live without electricity. I live in Houston, Texas, and it gets really been without electricity because of hurricanes and tropical storms, and it is really hot. I don't think I could live without central air. I don't think I can live without central heat either because I get really cold. And luckily, it doesn't get too cold in here, but it gets cold enough where I need to turn on my heater. So this is no way in me saying that I want us to go back to tribalism and all the modern niceties are gone. But what really struck me is the idea that we're no longer a communal society because we do so many things as a separate individual now. I do have some notes here because it really has gotten me thinking. And, you know, um, especially kids nowadays, they live in like this digital bubble, right? They're always on their phones. Uh, they're just constantly connected. They're always seeing their friends. They get on these group chats, they play Xbox, and they all get in there and play. It's like the new playground. And from a parent standpoint, it's cool because your child's home, you know where your child's at, and it's cool. It's great. I used to leave the house and I would be gone, 10 o'clock in the morning after breakfast, and I wouldn't come back till the afternoon. Or, I would check in actually home for lunch. Right? But we would be out. When we lived in New Mexico, we would be on our bikes, checking out the arroyos and going into the foothills of the Sandia Mountains. They're seeing cliffs. I mean, we were just having so much fun. And it was a group of kids from the neighborhood that we would go out, have fun. We would maybe go to somebody's house and then go to someone else's house, go down the street. And it was just a full day of just running around, expending all this energy and face to face communication, face to face eye contact. And I love those days, right? And I don't know necessarily that I would let my kids do that because my kids ask me if they can go down. We have a bridge down here of a little like tributary that goes into the bayou. And I'm just like, why do you need to go there? And all these things cross my mind. Our neighborhood is safe. I There has never been like an issue or anything like that. And so I don't know quite why I get so upset or worried. So that's a whole nother topic. But my point is that I do enjoy that my kids are here, home, safe, playing with their friends, right? And But on top of that, we've also got remote work, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I work remotely some days when my kids are sick. I do leave work early, and then to pick up my daughter from school, and I come home and I finish my day at my home office. So that's amazing. That is great. That's a great perk to have, right? But there's some people who are completely remote, and not saying that they hate it or don't like it, but it takes us away from those opportunities to create these relationships and also work through situations that may be tough. Work relationships aren't always fun, and you don't, like your family, you don't get to choose who you work with, and your work environment could sometimes be hostile, so you might prefer to be home. And so none of these things that I'm saying are inherently bad. I just the point that I'm trying to make is that they are separating us from the human interaction, face-to-face interaction. When you meet somebody, you can look at them in their eyes, uh, and you can just get a good general feeling about them, right? You'll check out the way they're dressed. Are they put together? Um, do they have both sets of eyelashes on? I mean, little things like that can give you an opinion about somebody. And when you are meeting someone online or interacting online, you miss that in those little subtle social cues, right? I've often read quite a few times in quite a few books that and my therapist has mentioned this to me too, that when you meet someone, there's like an energetic signature that each person puts off that helps you to decide whether or not you're attracted to them. Also, smell too. Smell has a big impact on the attraction to somebody. So those things are can sometimes be missing, and it's just a separation. And remember, all of this came from the sentence that person said about central heating taking us away from the fireplace. We also have urban neighborhoods where sometimes you don't even know your neighbors. Maybe you might know, your next door neighbor on either side or across the street, but how about the neighbor two doors down, right? I don't know a lot of my neighbors. I only know the older son across the street. I know my two neighbors on the side, and I mainly talk to the men because they're usually outside, and I'm always out there, or in and out, or doing some yard work or whatever. And I do know the people diagonal from us because our kids used to play together. And so, but I don't really know too many other people in my neighborhood. There's not a central gathering where people will come together. And back before there was electricity and modern living, the community came together at times for eating, feasting. And so it's a lot different living in urban neighborhoods, and I'm sure it's very different when you live out in the country and your nearest neighbor is, a quarter mile down the road. So, another thing that kind of keeps us from casual meeting is the online ordering and delivery, right? It's nowadays you don't even have to leave the house. You can have your groceries delivered, all your stuff on Amazon, you can have your clothes delivered, and it's really convenient. Trust me, I love all that stuff. There's also entertainment. We can Netflix things. One thing that Elizabeth and I have started doing, which I think is pretty cool, because she lives in Florida and I'm in Texas. And so a few times we've gotten on Discord and we've watched some movies, and I love it. I think that's super cool because we're watching the same movie, we're watching the same thing. And but things like that, I love that, because if Elizabeth and I have never met face to face in person. Um, so for us to be able to do something like that, it's almost, like we're next door neighbors in a way, meeting up at the movies. So and With also tribal living, also with tribal living, we had more of social roles, right? The women would, do the little bit of the gathering. They would wash the clothes. They would rear the children, and the elders, they would also help too. So nowadays, our family structure isn't set up to where we can actually bring in the elders when it's time for them to have their own care. We often send them out to do assisted living or maybe community living. My grandmother lives, she loves it. She loves it, and she likes to be independent. She likes that she's not dependent on any of her family members. She's not unable to take care of herself, but she lives within a community of other elderly, and they basically live in kind of like an apartment inside a whole building. So everybody has their individual apartments, and it's all inside of a building, and there's communal areas, and she can go in the morning and have coffee with people. There's a large kitchen, and people can, bring their bring a dish or make food in the kitchen. So that is a true community living, but it's not like a family member. It's not like a whole community. It's just like one portion of the community. But her type of living is more along the lines of what this type of living, that I feel that we're missing out on. um, we don't have Because we don't have a central meeting place for not only the family but also the community. We don't know there's nothing really to pass down anymore. Again, learning is done at school separately with school age children. They do it all on their iPads, or my kids actually have Chromebooks. Our district issues Chromebooks. They don't even have books anymore. So where back in the day, there of course wasn't a structured school system, but there was a learning. As you got older, you kind of moved up in the ranks with different groups. So when you were an infant, of course, you were cared for by the mother and the women, and possibly the grandmothers and the grandfathers too. The men would go out hunting or, finding firewood, ensuring that the perimeter was safe, and the women would take in the meat and, skin everything, get the hides treated so that they could be used as clothes, blankets, what have you. And everybody had their own designated social role. And on top of that, when someone in the community needed something, there wasn't like an, okay, it's gonna cost you like $500, and one person would do it, or one group of people would do it. It would be that the entire community got together and everybody pitched in. If the medicine man needed a new roof, the men would go and collect whatever it is they made the roof out of, or this is just an example. But everybody had their own. There was just so much. Everybody worked together, and we have gotten so far from that now we have to pay for every single thing. Like our foundation is sinking on one side of the house, and we've got to pay like thousands of dollars to have our house jacked up, and then we've got to pay like some other more money to have some sort of drainage system put in so that that doesn't happen again. But my point is if maybe we lived in a community that I would have some sort of skill that I would offer to my community, and I would just offer it freely, right? Just whoever needed help, that's my job. That's what I'm good at. I can help you with it. And so when I needed something, my foundation raised, I could say, hey, I need some help. And because I've helped out all these individuals my entire life or whatever, because we're a community, that everyone would come together and help me jack my house up. I wouldn't have to pay $1,000. But on top of that, there wouldn't be us going to a 9 to 5. This is just like a totally different, the mentality or the way of living that I'm thinking of is, or that I'm speaking of, is so far away from where we are, and there's no way we can get back there. But I think that there are certain things that we can do to help us facilitate that a little bit more. Let's see. So some of the things that we can do, around the holidays, it's cool, because everybody gets together for that one day. For some people, I know for me, it's really stressful. My parents are divorced, and then we've got my husband's side of the family to go to, and so there's just so much to do. Like this Thanksgiving, I don't even really like to celebrate Thanksgiving. I just That's another video. So, so for this Thanksgiving, I am going to my mother-in-law's house, and then the day after Thanksgiving, I'm going to my brother's house for my mom's side of the family. And I believe my dad's going to be there because my dad is going with his wife, which is my stepmom, my second stepmom, and he's going to go with her to her kid's house. So it's like it's very stressful around our holidays, and then Christmas is no different, right? So so around the holidays, it's great, but if we could, I don't know, designate a day monthly, or I think weekly would be asking a lot, but maybe if we could designate a day monthly where we can just gather with one another, gather around a fire, right? And maybe the summers in Houston aren't the best time to have a fire, but maybe we can gather around the TV and watch a show together, gather around a table, play some games with one another, have a game night. Everyone brings a dish, everyone comes in and just contributes to something. And another point I wanted to make is the way that people meet nowadays is, online, and it's hard to get um, that initial energy feeling. Okay. I think I already went over that, didn't I? I sure did. Let me see. The point I wanted to make was when the social circles would split off and do like their job, it would be the women with the women, and then the men with the men, and then there would be age groups broken up from there too, right? You wouldn't necessarily send an 8-year-old boy to go out hunting, but during the day, that 8-year-old boy would probably be playing while the other, the 13 to however old would go hunting, and they would go helping. And then perhaps while they were hunting, the older men, 15 or 20, to 30-year-olds, they would do the actual, killing of the animal and, dragging it home. Like everybody kind of had their own parcel. So there was all this community coming together. And nowadays, the community where these smaller groups within the larger group come together, it's more of like, well, I'm speaking from my experience, the way that my generation and the people in my age group, when they come together to have fun, it's going out and drinking. And that's usually not my cup of tea. I'd actually rather stay home and have tea than going out and drinking. And on top of that, I like to drink at home. It's more comfortable when I'm out in social situations, or if I don't feel comfortable drinking because I feel that my faculties are going to be um, compromised, because alcohol is a depressant and I'm literally poisoning myself when I'm drinking alcohol. And so I'm not fully present in my environment, so I couldn't really react. And, or since it is a depressant, I won't actually act like my normal self, right? And so I prefer to drink where I feel safe, somebody's house, my house. And so that was another thing that I thought about as well, is the community of like-minded people within the same age groups. It was a different type of coming together. Whereas here in our modern society, we go out, and we have, now that's not to say that there aren't some groups of people who go out hiking or going out for a run, but in my experience and my outside circle friend group, my larger casted circle, that's what they like to do. And I do have some friends where we don't do that. We'll go out for a hike, we'll go kayaking or something like that. We'll go for a walk in the park, we'll go out to eat, you know. And so I'm not, this is no way a generalization about everybody does this, but this is something that I have experienced. And so my idea to fix this is maybe if we can all try to come together once a month. And even though I, you know, I think that community is a good thing. And sometimes being where you are, you don't always have like minded people around you. Now, most of my friends don't subscribe to the same things that I do, tarot reading, ancestor work. I don't even think they know that I do that type of stuff, right? People at my job, there's a select few who know, but it's only because they ask probing questions, right? And it's not information I generally volunteer, but I'm definitely not afraid. I'm not one that would lie, right? I don't even know what that is. That's not me. I might feel a little apprehensive. Oh, could this come around and bite me in the butt later? But for the most part and generally, I will be upfront, and if it comes up in conversation, it comes up in conversation. So where was I have no idea where I was going with that. But oh yes, I know where I was going with that. So there was a caveat of us being separated by this great modern lifestyle that we have, this all these great inventions, electricity, central AC, central heating, the internet. It's amazing, but it's taking us away from things. And I do think that people in general are lonely, right? This is in the blood of all of us, because at one point none of us had electricity, and at one point all of us sat around, all of our ancestors sat around fires. And so I think this is in all of our DNA, that we want this community, and sometimes we just can't have it, and we can't have it with the people in that are in our physical area, right? So, another thing that I was going to suggest is if a community, an online community, can be had, maybe a once a month thing where everybody comes on and we kind of do a Zoom call, and we talk about various different topics, and just this is me throwing some ideas out there, right? Not only do you have that physical with the people in your life that you want to spend time with, your friends, your family, and you have that physical contact, and you guys come together and meet as a group, though not you going out with all these little groups here and there, because that could be exhausting. I have many friends that I keep in touch with, right? And if I saw all of them once a month, it would exhaust me if I didn't do it all at once. And then some months some one month somebody can't come. So but then I'll see them the next month. So I know this is kind of far-fetched out there, but it was just a solution to something that has been in my mind, and like, well, how can we make this better? How can we change this? How can we bring some of these things back? Right. And so I would like to do that. So I'm going to build a fireplace, and I'm going to build it in my backyard. I'm also going to build a temescal where I can do some of my things, and maybe that'll bring some people over too, because a lot of people like to come. I like to do sweats. Temescal is a sweat lodge, a Mesoamerican sweat lodge. And I've got a tiny backyard, but I'm going to make it fit. I've already got my little blueprint worked up. I was going to do a tarot reading. Oh, here's my cards. So I'm going to use Tarot of Oneness. Yes, this is my newest addition to my collection, as Elizabeth would say. It's actually from Elizabeth. I purchased it from her. So I'm just gonna pull some cards just to see what guidance we can have as far as coming together as a community. I'm just gonna pull 3 cards. I usually pull about 12. But here lately, I've just pulling 3. I've just been pulling 3. And I had to remember which direction east was for a second there. And so even though I gave some ideas, maybe the ancestors have some ideas as well. And of course, I'll probably do a journal prompt on this and do some more tarot reading. But I think I would like to start a monthly gathering on the channel. So let me know if you would be interested in how we could pull this off. Like, would it just be a single topic? Could everybody come on and maybe like open mic night? You know, anybody can say something. We just got to be careful for those trolls. All right. Oh my gosh, we got the 10 of Pentacles, the 6 of Cups, bro. And then the 10 of Swords. Okay, that one's kind of hard, but so super amazing. And then at the bottom of the deck, we got the 10 of Wands. So that kind of means that that's probably going to be a lot of a burden to bear, right? Because this 10 of Wands, we have this person pulling up this big boulder up this incline, and super hard. Okay, but amazingly, we've got this 10 of Pentacles, and look at all of those different color skin tones. That is just amazing to me. And to me, that's like confirmation of, just people, a community coming together as one, and just bringing all of that magic, like inter, what is that? Contributing. Everyone is contributing to this sparkle pile in the middle. And it's just absolutely fabulous. We've got the 6 of Cups, which is nostalgia, thinking back, family memories, family thoughts, and being like children again, connecting as children do. And then here we've got the 10 of Swords. So this is, of course, an ending of you know, I don't like that the 10 of Swords is so negative, because I feel it's the ending of, it's making room for something, right? When there's an end to something, there's making room for something else. And with 10 of Swords being an air suit, the mind, communication, I feel like it's an ending of, doing something like this would be the ending of a previous like thought process, and making way for something else, making way for something better, right? Making way for community, making way for child experiences, and having fun and making memories, right? And perhaps this is the end of something, but with all endings comes a new beginning. So, so I think that's a great idea. So not only will we do something like this, now I need some help brainstorming. If anybody has any great ideas, please put it in the comment section, and let's brainstorm together. Let's figure out how we can do this as a community, right? Lives are fun. I love going live on Elizabeth's channel. It's so much fun. Um, so maybe we'll do some lives on my channel too, and that will be so fun. I don't think I've ever done a live here on this channel. I do lives on my other channel, my tarot reading channel. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. And that all came from that video. I can't remember the topic, but it talked about how we've moved away from the fireplace, the place of gathering, because now we have electricity, which heats up the whole house. And everybody, kind of has their own room and they're over there. And because that all the rooms are hot, there's no need to gather around a fireplace. Um, oh, by the way, I call like people have fire pits outside. I call them fireplaces because that's the place where the fire goes. So if there's any confusion in that, I just realized that that's not the terminology that everybody uses. Um, so, anyways, guys, thanks for coming and listening to me. Let me know how you feel, what your thoughts are about this. I would love to know if you have any traditions that you do to keep community, if you have any ideas to help others keep community, the monthly meeting where, people come to your house. If you have any ideas about the monthly meeting on the channel, I would love to hear it. So that's all I got for you tonight. Have a great evening. I'll see you next time. Bye. Take care.